Year speech language pathology student at Buffalo State University. This event is designed to bring chapter leaders together to talk about topics relevant to running a local NISLA chapter as well as leadership in general. I would also like to introduce other VPs who are here, and we're going to start with Lucy.
Thanks, Aaliyah. My name is Lucy Carvalho. I serve as the VP for Student State Officers for the Western region, and I'm also a second year speech language pathology student at California State University, Long Beach. We're also joined by Kensley.
Thanks, Lucy. My name is Kinsley Brewis. This is my first year as the Vice President for Student State Officers for the Southern region, and I'm a third year audiology doctoral student at Auburn University, and it's so great to be here with you guys today, and I'll pass it over to Ashley.
Thanks, Kensley. My name is Ashley Schulteis. This is my first year as a VP for Student State Officers for the Central Region. I'm a first year audiology student at the University of Iowa. While we can't do a traditional icebreaker with a group this size, we ask you to participate in our word cloud to get a sense of where you all are from. Please use the link in the chat to respond to a few of our prompts. All right, and we're getting that posted right now. Wow, I love seeing so many of the different states, a lot of representation here. See California, a lot from California, Florida, Ohio. See Missouri. Awesome, guys. Now we'll enter your chapter leadership position.
Second.
All right, give us 1 second. All right, perfect. There we go. The president. Let's see. We have some SSOs. There we go. There's more. All right. Wow, there's a great cross section of leadership. Thank you all again so much for attending today. All right, perfect. And finally, enter one word that sums up how you're feeling about the 2025 to 2026 school year. Excited, ready, determined, passionate, nervous. Yep. This is so affirming to see student leaders ready to take on the year. Passionate, pumped. Yeah, those are all great, you guys. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Now I'm going to invite our National NISLA president to welcome you all here today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Allison Tran. I am National NISLA's president and a second-year audiology doctoral student at San Jose State University in California. We wanted to give you all a huge thank you for coming out to the National NISLA Chapter Leadership Summit. It's always great to see everyone together. The community that National NISLA creates is infectious. Chapters help students make new friends, learn about their future career at events, and give back through service. Together, we are NISLA strong. As a past leader, I know firsthand how much work goes into running these chapters. I am in awe of what you guys have done and will achieve in the coming year, and how, as a group, National NISLA continues to support CSD students. So let's take a quick look back at the impact of the chapters that received chapter honors last year. So here's the slide. We made incredible strides last year, and I know that we will do so much more in the year to come. I would love to give a big shout out and a thank you to our sponsor event, AMN Healthcare. We couldn't have pulled this event off without them. At this time, I'd like to turn the mic over to Kristen Pruce from AMN Healthcare.
Thank you, Allison. Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's wonderful to see such a great turnout at this event. I'm really excited to be here to participate today and to represent AMN. I have been with AMN for 2 years now, but this is my 25th year as an SLP. So I feel like I've had a pretty broad experience across my work as an SLP, but also in different leadership positions, both informal and formal. And I think that this is such a wonderful topic to discuss leadership, what it looks like for us as SLPs and audiologists, what it looks like in our field, because I can't think of a single leadership opportunity that I took advantage of, whether it was in graduate school, different aspects of my career, working in with different companies and different school districts, that didn't enrich my work as a therapist, as a clinician, and also as a professional. So I have gained so much from every opportunity that I had. And, I think taking even the smallest leadership opportunities, it leads to something else. It builds, it helps you gain new connections. You learn from others who might seem on the surface that they are in a very similar place to you as a professional, but of course we all come with different backgrounds and experience and passions, and so we really make each other stronger every time we take advantage of these opportunities and join events like this. So I'm just happy to be here, and we are giving away 3 $50 gift certificates today. So please, hopefully you all are, enter. I think you just entered by registering. So we're excited to give those away. And I just look forward to participating and hearing all the great content. And then I will be joining again later on the panel. So enjoy your time, and I will see you all in a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you again to AMN Healthcare for sponsoring this event. And Kristen, we're so glad to have you here with us at today's event. And thank you to all of you again for coming out. Use this time together to gather ideas for your chapter, get inspired for the year to come, and get ready to take this year by storm. Now I'll turn it over back to Lucy to get a bigger look at National NISLA.
Thanks, Allison. So we want to make this a fun event today. So throughout the event, we will provide some information that can be used to win some prizes at the end on a Kahoot. So we're also going to be dropping a link in the chat right now. I just saw it pop up. So this is a link to a Padlet that you can use anytime to ask questions if you have any about the information. And we'll answer as many as we can today, and we'll use the others to help build communications to support chapters throughout the year. So National NISLA serves over 10,000 students in audiology, CSD, and SLP programs in more than 350 chapters. Our mission revolves around us as students, so we want all students to feel empowered and confident no matter where they are in their CSD journey. So let's take a look at the focus of our summit today, which is the chapters. There are more than 350 NISLA chapters at universities across the United States, including Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. While local NISLA chapters are affiliated with national NISLA, they each operate independently. So they have their own budgets, advisors, and e-board structures. We ask that chapters affiliate with the national office every year when new leadership takes office to maintain updated contact information so that we can support these chapters. And National NISLA works extremely close with chapters throughout the year, particularly through the Chapter Honors Program. One thing you may have also noticed is that we refer to the national organization as National NISLA, and we know this is kind of redundant, but it's just our way of distinguishing the National Association from local NISLA chapters. So now let's take a second and be sure you know which region you are in. So there's the West, Central, South, or Northeast. And this comes up on our chapter affiliation form and chapter honors applications. And remember that we also have student state officers or SSOs in each region and covering every state. So they are great resources for you, especially throughout the school year. This year, we have 56 SSOs supporting chapters. So please take a moment to note which SSOs support your states. And I'd like to ask the student state officers who are currently here from the Western region to use the raise hand feature so that others can see you. SSOs from the Western region first. All right. Thank you. So these are our SSO student leaders for the Western region. Now will the Central SSOs please raise their hands? Thank you. These are our Central leaders. And now the South. Thank you. And then last but not least, the Northeast region. It's awesome to see so many student leaders here today. So thank you all so much, especially to the SSOs who could be here today. And you'll also get a chance to meet with them when we break out into our regional rooms later. And now that you've seen the SSOs in attendance, we also wanted to recognize any executive council members in attendance. And so they will be raising their hands now, and you can also notice the NISLA background and the title in our Zoom name. And we also just want to quickly introduce the national office staff. Allison and Alexis are here with us today.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. We're just so excited to have you here today. The Chapter Leadership Summit is just such a great opportunity to meet all the national leaders, but also meet chapter leaders that are in your part of the country. There's so many great opportunities to collaborate, to learn, to grow, and to explore. And we're so grateful for your leadership and the impact that you make on your campuses and your communities. If you ever have questions or need anything, the National Office and the Executive Council are always here to support you with whatever you need. And now I'll pass it over to Allison.
Hi, I'm Allison Chernin, the Program and Chapter Manager, and it is wonderful to see so many chapter leaders in one space. We all wish you the best possible 25-26 school year and are looking forward to engaging with you.
Thanks, Alexis and Allison. So previewing this afternoon, we are about to have information sessions, and then after regional breakouts, and then a break. And then we will have 2 tracks for our breakout rooms. One focused on building and expanding your chapter, and one focused on going for gold in chapter honors. Presenters will go between these interactive breakout rooms to share best practices and answer any questions you might have. After a break at 3 p.m., our Kahoot will award 3 gift. We will play a Kahoot and we will award 3 gift cards, and then we will lead the final panel session on leadership and close with a wrap-up segment. As a former SSO, I know how important it is to start the year off right. The link to our main website is about to enter the chat, and we will provide you with a quick tour so that way you are more familiar. All right, so the chapters page is going to be your go-to section of the website. Here, you can check your affiliation status and help find resources. Our chapter toolkit has multiple links depending on your chapter's needs, like management, growth, or programming. Under growth, we have a page with downloadable resources, including flyers and PowerPoints that you are welcome to use. Here you will find our 2025-2026 calendar and checklist and resources for your bulletin boards, including PDFs and PowerPoints that help explain National NISLA's member benefits, the updated conversion discount, and our scholarships. We know many of you encourage your members to sign up for national membership, so we encourage you to use these resources in your meetings or with your department. Also, your SSO can virtually attend a chapter meeting to ensure that your members are well prepared for their time with NISLA. Back to the programming page, our programming resources will give you tips and tricks and resources to plan successful programs and provide key information to your chapter members. These are all real examples from other chapters, so you will find plenty of ideas that you can use. We know that each chapter has its own unique challenges for scheduling and participation. Plenty of chapters succeed in chapter honors and as in active clubs with fewer meetings and prioritizing events and programs that easily align with the honors requirements. The membership page is the easiest way for students to join or renew their National NISLA membership. It also highlights the many benefits of national membership. These benefits include the NISLA to ASHA conversion discount, reduced convention registration, scholarship eligibility for both undergraduates and graduate students, member honors and leadership eligibility, and our all-new travel awards. The link to our membership page is about to enter the chat. Now I'm going to hand it off to Aaliyah to discuss chapter affiliation.
Thanks, Kinsley. If you haven't already, most of you will visit the chapter affiliation page at some point in your tenure as a chapter leader. We just ask that chapters affiliate with National NISLA each time new officers take over. The rules and guidelines for affiliation are at the top, and then the form is embedded below. And you must fill it out all at once. You cannot save your progress. That's super important. Make sure you give us your correct chapter type, undergraduate, graduate, online, SLP, AUD, and several schools have multiple chapters. So it's super important to spell email addresses correctly, as this is how we get in touch with your chapter leader. Now we're going to go back into our slides. Chapters make NISLA. They make NISLA NISLA. So your commitment to service, advocacy, scholarship, inclusion, and community made it so that a record of 155 chapters were recognized as part of our chapter honors program last year, which is huge. Thanks to sponsorship, we were able to give each member of a gold chapter a commemorative lapel pin, as seen on the slide. Chapter of the Year members also received a special gift from National NISLA. We'd like to welcome Zoe Zhang, President of Purdue University, recipient of Chapter of the Year for the 2024-2025 school year.
Welcome to this year's Chapter Leadership Summit. My name is Zoe Zhang, and I'm an incoming speech-language pathology student at Purdue University. I was also Purdue's NISLA chapter president last year, where we received gold honors and won the Chapter of the Year award from National NISLA. So before I begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to my executive board, our advisors, and just the entire SLHS department at Purdue. Without all of them, this award, which is super exciting for our university, it would not have been possible. So I just want to say thank you to all of them. Today, I'm just going to be talking about different tips, pieces of advice, things like that to help you all prepare for this upcoming academic year. So one of the first pieces of advice I have is to make getting National NISLA membership more personal, or explain the why. So one of my proudest accomplishments from last year as president was increasing our chapter membership from 116 to 182 members, which is a really big jump. But a huge part of that actually was also increasing our National NISLA members. And one of the ways that I did it was really just by emphasizing why people should get National NISLA membership, because it is expensive. And, particularly for undergraduate students, they might not feel as big of a need to get it as the graduate students. And I just really emphasized how helpful having National NISLA membership was for me when I presented at the ASHA conference, where the registration fee is waived. I was one of the recipients of the undergraduate scholarship. So that was really nice. And just how they also share, they send you this magazine, the ASHA magazine, which is really cool actually, because you just get to read a lot of exciting updates about our field. So just things like that, providing incentives. We also waived our local chapter membership fee to hopefully get people to sign up for National NISLA membership. So obviously do what works for you, what works for your chapter. But just think about some other ways that you could incentivize your members to sign up for the membership, because it is really helpful. My second piece of advice, this sounds really cliche, but definitely collaborate with your board. We all come from really different backgrounds, different walks of life. And I think sometimes when you talk to other people, everyone actually has really good and different ideas. And I was really lucky. I had a phenomenal executive board, and every person contributed just really good ideas and different strengths to make our executive team strong, and in turn that made our club strong. So definitely collaborate with your board, listen to their ideas, and just be willing to talk to each other and maintain open channels of communication. My third piece of advice is to look and just think about what other student organizations you can collaborate with. For me, for Purdue, we collaborated with the DEI committee in our department, and we also collaborated with the Student Academy of Audiology. And those were really helpful because we were able to offer a wider scope of events, or offer more events that perhaps weren't any of the board members' area of expertise or interest, but maybe your members have interests in those areas, or maybe those organizations are able to speak about a certain topic better than you are. And it also just increases visibility for the different organizations and NISLA, right? So I think it's really a win-win situation when you collaborate with other organizations. And I'm sure your college campuses have other organizations that you can collaborate with as well. So definitely think outside of the box on that one. You don't have to just do all of your events by yourself. My next piece of advice is to look for your community. What sorts of organizations, right, exist in your community currently so that you can offer more opportunities for your members. So Purdue NISL was able to offer a lot of volunteering opportunities in the past and this year because we increased partnerships with our community organizations so that, for example, this year a lot of members had the opportunity to volunteer with an organization that works with individuals with disabilities and special needs. And so that was just a really good opportunity for our members to have. And then my last piece of advice is to have guest speakers and just events in general, whether it's social events or professional events. Think about what you want to hear or what you want to learn about or what you want to do, right? Because if it's a social event, for example, if you're not having fun, if your board members aren't having fun, I can almost guarantee you that your club members aren't going to be having fun. And same for professional events or guest speaker events, right? If it's not a topic that interests your board, right, as a whole collectively, or you don't really think that people in your club would be interested in it, I just really highly recommend doing something that, you know, a lot of people get really excited about. And also sometimes just shoot your shot, right? Whether that's applying for chapter honors or the National Chapter of the Year award, or even just reaching out to a guest speaker. I really wanted one of the guest speakers to come in, so I just emailed her and she ended up coming in. All the members really enjoyed hearing her talk. And so just shoot your shot, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take is the saying, but it definitely is true. So I wish all of you the best in this upcoming school year. I know you will all do phenomenal. So yeah, good luck everyone. Bye.
We are grateful for Zoe's video and advice. We'll now move to regional meetings until 1:50 p.m. Eastern Time, and then take a screen break before our breakout rooms track. Be sure to know which region your state is in. Let us know if you need help finding a room, and we will see you back at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
The breakout rooms are open now. Earlier in the chat, I did include a picture of what each region is. So if you're not sure, just kind of scroll back up in the chat and there'll be actually the map for you.
Welcome back, everyone. We will spend the next 45 minutes or so in 2 breakout rooms designed to get you information and ideas from your peers. We will have 2 tracks for the breakout rooms, one focused on building, expanding your chapter, and one focused on going for the gold/chapter honors. Presenters will go between these interactive breakout rooms to share best practices and answer questions. We plan to record both sessions to maximize benefits for leaders who want to check out the information later. Don't forget about the Padlet that we have open for any questions that you may have. So there's the building, expanding your chapter. We'll meet in here, and then a breakout room for going for gold. Choose whichever you would like, and we will see everyone back in here for our 3 p.m. Kahoot and giveaway and leadership panel. We hope you enjoy.
Hensley, I think we can go ahead and get started. Looks like the numbers have settled.
Okay, perfect. So thank you all for coming to our track, which is on building your chapter experience. As a reminder, I am Kinsley, the VP for the Southern Student State Officers, and my co-host for this room is Aaliyah, the Vice President for SSOs for the Northeast region. So we will begin with chapter member recruitment, since we know that that is the foundation of building and expanding a chapter. Fortunately, we are joined by Carly Bello, the current SLP SSO in Florida and a past chapter president and the winner of Chapter of the Year for the 2023-2024 school year when she was at the University of Central Florida. Carly, can you talk about the different ways you recruited members at UCF? Sorry.
You're so good. Yeah, so I feel like you have to get really creative when it comes to recruiting members, and I feel like that's the part that everyone dreads the most. But for us, our executive board did a lot of things like tabling events. We did classroom marketing, social media posts, things like that. So during classroom marketing, for example, our executive board would go and ask permission from our CSD faculty, and we would go to all of the different CSD classes and just kind of give a small blurb about NISLA and all of the benefits of joining our chapter. And then we would have a QR code ready for them to scan, and that would just take them directly to our membership website so that they could join.
Okay, so a follow-up question. How did you use social media or advertising in this process?
So our Instagram had a lot of traction, surprisingly. So we used Instagram, Facebook, and then our CSD office at UCF also was very engaged with us. So they would repost all of our stuff, and then I would have all of the officers repost events as well, because everyone like is on Instagram these days. So you kind of get to see all of the events, and just that's how we mainly did our traction, and we would post about every single event that we had.
What would you say was your most successful recruiting experience?
I would say that our most successful recruiting experience was probably tabling events. So we tried to sign up for as many tabling events as we could around campus, and this just helped us to increase membership recruitment, and they seem to work really well. So I know it's probably different at every university, but we had around like 3 tabling events, like 3 of like main tabling events for like incoming freshmen and just incoming transfer students that would come to UCF, and all of the different organizations would set up posters and everything, and we would do like giveaways, we would have merch, we would give away like 3 free memberships every tabling event, which is like really enticing for people. But yeah, especially like the freshmen that come in undecided and they don't really know what they want to do, you kind of like tell them about speech pathology or audiology, because I think it's such a niche field that like when people hear about it, they're like, oh, okay, like yeah, that sounds cool, and then they just join.
What would you not do again or alter the way that maybe you did it the first time?
I don't think there's anything that I wouldn't do again, because I feel like all recruitment is good recruitment regardless of what it is, but I would probably try to do more outreach, especially with the graduate students, because our chapter was combined and I was an undergrad, like I didn't have any graduate experience obviously, so like the events to me were really fun, but like now being in grad school and like looking back, I kind of wish that like we had tailored it a little bit more to be like more inclusive for undergrad and grad. So if your chapters combined, I would definitely keep that in mind. Like I don't know how much access you guys have to like assessments and things like that, but maybe like assessment workshops or like an oral mech workshop, something like that, to like also include grad students is really fun. Like we would have like hearing aid sorting events, like in our community and things like that. That just really like is kind of like a different field, because I feel like the undergrad and grad divide is a little different.
Yes, for sure. Um, what about the National NISLA membership? How did you support that aspect of membership among the members in your local chapter?
So if you guys are returning leaders, then I'm pretty sure you know how taxing getting people to sign up for National NSLA memberships is, because the like fact that it's $60, like it's not a crazy amount of money, but for students it is like a little bit daunting to be like, oh, like join our NSLA, and then it's like, oh, join National NSLA and pay $60. So like not everybody is like gonna want to join National NSLA right off the bat. So for us, like we would really advertise it in a fun way, and we would say like you get access to all of like these research articles, you get scholarship access, leadership options, like there's different groups that you could join. So just trying to sell it like that. And also like the ASHA discount that you get when you're a National NSLA member, the discount that you get when you're getting your C's and everything, which I think is good for graduate chapters to advertise as well. But we would also offer our system for our NSLA chapter, we would offer points, and at the end of the year, all of your points would kind of rack up, and you would either get like a stole for graduation or a cord, and people really liked that and they wanted it. So for National NSLA, if they joined, I remember I think we gave them like 15 points, which is a lot, and like everyone really liked that. So that's kind of how we made it a little more fun.
Yes, I love that. Do you have any other ideas or advice about membership to help people get engaged with National NSLA from their local chapters?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like you just have to be so creative with it, and definitely work with your exec board. I think one of my best tips would be to just plan as many fun and engaging events as you can. Um, we had so many guest speaker events. Like I even reached out to Speaking of Semantics, and I got every single president from all of the Florida chapters, and I told them that we were having Speaking with Semantics coming. And I don't know if you guys know who she is, just I think she's like a pretty well-known SLP influencer. And all of the Florida chapters, most of them like got together and we had this big event. There was like over 100 people there. And she kind of just presented on like things she knew before grad school. And we would have like the Peds SLP, she's also on TikTok. We've had Van Ash speech therapy come over, like just a lot of like those niche, like famous TikTok influencers that people really want. And then we would go and have like people come and like do live fees demonstrations, and they would even let the students help scope, which is really cool because like you cannot really get that experience even in my grad program. Like we don't really get to scope until later on if that's your placement. So just getting different perspectives to come, I think, is really helpful. We had a lot of workshops, we had a lot of socials. I think people really want to make friends, and like that's just the truth. Like you come into school and like especially if you're new, like you're scared to make friends, you don't really know where to go in undergrad or graduate school. And like we would have these socials and like do all of these icebreakers, and I would like kind of force people to be friends. Like I would sit them down at a table and I'd be like, meet each other and talk, and like that was really helpful, and like people seem to really like that. So um that's just what I did, but yeah.
I love all of that. Does any of the other leaders in attendance have any ideas that you want to share about recruitment or National NSLA membership? If you do, yeah, Carissa, go ahead.
One thing that our chapter did actually last year was if they were a local member or if they were a national member, then they got a $10 discount on a local membership just to try and increase the recruitment to get higher numbers for chapter honors and all of that. So it was $25, I believe, for a non-national member and then $15 for a national member. And that seemed to help. And then we also reached out to faculty, retired faculty for sponsorships, and we were able to sponsor, I want to say 5 National NSLA memberships for that.
Yeah, that's great, Carissa. Does anyone else have any ideas that you want to share for recruitment or about National NSLA membership? I think I'll just echo what Carly said earlier. I know on Auburn's campus, which is where I attend, tabling is very big. So if you have those opportunities on your campus, that's a great way to meet new people and get them interested in what you're doing. Does anyone have any questions for Carly? The Padlet is also open if you have any question that occurs to you later. So you can drop that in there if you forget or if you don't know exactly what you're wondering right now. But feel free to raise your hand or just go ahead and speak and ask Carly any questions. Yeah, Chelsea, what's up?
So I don't know if this is the same with like across all campuses, but our school at Chico was not able to join NISLA if you were a freshman or a sophomore undergrad. So like I heard about NISLA as a freshman and a sophomore, but I was not able to actually join until my junior year. And so that was always hard because I didn't really know how to get involved with it until 2 years later. Is that the same for everyone? Because how do you like get those freshmen and sophomores involved, like if they can't actually join NISLA?
So my chapter was undergrad and grad. I've never heard of another chapter just accepting juniors and seniors. And I'm assuming they're not in like SLP or AD programs. I don't know, maybe I would even like reach out to like your chapter and see if they would be interested in including freshmen and sophomores, because I feel like that's definitely a great way to get involved. I don't know, like ours was combined, which is why I can say like the freshmen and the sophomores, like everybody was included, but I wish I had a better answer for you, like if you guys
Okay.
had like an undergrad and grad chapter, but maybe reach out and see like if there's anything that you guys could do collaboratively together to try to involve those other members.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Veronica.
To Chelsea's point, I just wanted to say, so at FSU, we do allow the freshmen and sophomores to join NISLA, but the CSD major doesn't start until you like reapply. So most people in the major are juniors and seniors, and the freshmen and sophomores do have a hard time just hearing about NISLA because they're not meeting with the professors yet and they're not taking the CSD courses. So we have had a similar issue where like the majority of our membership is juniors and seniors, and then we have like just a few underclassmen that like accidentally found out about NISLA. What we've been doing to combat that is I've been trying to speak with our the counselors that you meet with like to book your classes in order to like have them kind of tell the underclassmen about NISLA, since like we don't have access to them yet. And also, yeah, just plenty of like tabling and showing up to club fairs so that people can find us as easily as possible. But we're still working on that too.
Amanda. Oh, Amanda, I think you might still be muted.
I'm sorry, that's like the second time I've done that. So like the biggest hurdle for me personally and with our chapter is that our school is broken up in two campuses. It's like an hour between each other. Because we're in the health sciences school, and so it's an hour away from our university. And so I feel like personally, sometimes it's hard to gauge interest to get the younger cohorts to kind of come to Muskogee. So we do go or to where we're central at, like the, juniors and seniors and grad students. Is there anything else other than like socials or tabling or anything that anybody's had experience with trying to get two locations to kind of get together and like gain recruitment?
I can talk a little bit on this one.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
When I was an undergrad, we had a main campus and a satellite campus. And so we actually had two separate chapters technically, but we did schedule either online events, like not meetings, but like having a guest speaker come on, creating online events in that way. We also did, because it was in the middle of COVID, so a lot of stuff we were doing was virtual anyways. But we had the like virtual like walk 5K and stuff like that. where we all like tracked how many miles we ran or whatever. And that's how it kind of started. And then as the year went on and COVID kind of relaxed a little bit, not really, because it was still in the middle of COVID, we had some like outdoor events where we didn't have to have our masks on the whole time and things of that nature. Um, and we met halfway between the main campus and the satellite campus because it was like an hour, hour and a half away from each other as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you for all of your questions. Remember that Padlet is open if you have more. Carly had to head over to the other room, but we want to welcome Eric Pinos and Carissa Terry to speak about community outreach activities and fundraising. Can you both briefly introduce yourselves? So what school, chapter type, and what chapter leadership positions you held? Eric, let's start with you.
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name's Eric. I'm a grad student at Towson University for the audiology chapter, and I was the community outreach chair for that chapter.
Thank you, Eric. Go ahead, Carissa, sorry.
Okay, my name is Carissa. I did the University of Memphis through a graduate program. In my second year, I served as the vice president, and then my third year, I served as the president in our chapter. That was it, right? Yes.
Yeah, you hit all the points. Thank you. So did either of your chapters have specific goals around activities and fundraising? And if so, where did those goals come from and did you find them helpful?
I don't think we had a specific goal. It was just to be as engaging as possible and raise as much as we possibly could. We're all like busy grad students, so if we can get maybe like half the people involved, that'd be a great goal. So I think we were pretty successful in that too. So pretty happy about that.
Our biggest goal was each year, University of Memphis NSLA chapter does their own student-led funded conference. So the Mid-South Conference. So all of our goals are pretty much based on that, making sure that we have keynote speakers, making sure we have funds to pay these speakers, making sure we have funds to pay for their hotels. So a lot of our chapter goals are based around fundraising, but also allowing our students to network with each other, both audiology and SLP, because we were only a graduate chapter.
Eric, how did you scope out and plan the community outreach activities at Towson for the year?
Yeah, so I wanted to have one big event each semester. So in the spring, we had a World Hearing Day event, which we did last year as well, and we had everybody table and just give out information about World Hearing Day and audiology. And in the fall, we had a guest speaker come and talk to the chapter. She was a musician who has hearing loss, as well as she was the president of the Healthy Hearing Foundation. So she talked and spoke with the chapter about her experience with hearing aids, what she saw as going to her pediatric audiology appointments, and basically just advocating for the world of audiology in general. So I kind of gauged interest at some of our first meetings and said this was my ideas, and people took an interest to it, and we just kind of rolled with it.
Wow, what a unique experience that you brought to your students. Once you planned the activities, how did you get the members involved?
So I could go over the activities during the chapter meetings, but I found that the best way to get members involved is to go up to them in person and say, hey, this is a really cool thing. You should join. Nobody reads emails, honestly. So if it's a small enough chapter, go up to them in person. And also free food is a great motivator as well. As a grad student, food is lovely. So if I have a chance to get free food, take it. So and also just make it seem fun. Like a lot of times mandatory events aren't just kind of seem like a chore but make it seem like it's fun and engaging and that they would benefit from being there.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, Eric. Thank you for sharing. Carissa, how did Memphis approach fundraising? Was there a yearly calendar or some sort of other support for chapter leaders and members to track activities and funding?
Not really. Our goal was to do an event each month, but Mid-South is in March. So pretty much from the time we get back from Christmas break, so January to March, we are booked up. We are not really focused on planning events because we're trying to make sure we have everything ready for our conference in terms of making sure we have enough student volunteers, hotels are booked, finding transportation, creating the folders for our speakers, students, name tags, registration, lunch, all of that. We're very overwhelmed once January hits until March. But we would do a lot of food fundraisers. So we did Pyro's Pizza, which is like a make your own pizza night, did Panera. We did some shirts and polos. And then we had monthly meetings and we would have emails go out beforehand and after with the meeting notes, and then also some giveaways.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot in common with Eric, with the food being the commonality for students. Is there a fundraiser that brought you the most success?
So through Mid-South, the Mid-South Conference, we always do a silent auction. So we go out to the community, get donations, gift cards, books, a lot of things. And then that's where we get most of our funding from, is people bidding on those items. And last year we actually hit a record amount.
Wow, that's a creative way to fundraise. Is there anything you would not do again?
I think the food ones that are a limited time, so like from 4 to 7, because SLP and AUD run on very different schedules. So we couldn't ever find a day where every student didn't have a class at that time. So we kind of had to compromise between, okay, do we want this to be geared more towards AUD or more towards SLP? But if it was all day, there was more of a chance for students to place an order and then one person to go pick up a mass order for 10 people or something like that, and then bring it back to school.
So a lot of like scheduling that was a part of it and having to think around that. Thank you for sharing. Eric, what activity do you think was the most successful and why?
I think the most successful activity that our chapter did in terms of community outreach was World Hearing Day. So for those of you who don't know, every audiologist's favorite holiday is World Hearing Day on March 3rd. And it basically advocates just overall hearing health. So in our health professions building, we held a tabling event where we had a booth where we handed out candy and gave out just some facts about hearing protection. We had a doll mannequin type of thing where people could put their earbuds in and we could measure how loud that they were listening to their music and measure to see if it was within safe limits or not. We also had a spin the wheel event where they spun a question, we asked them a basic audiology question, and if they got it right, we give them candy. Even if they didn't get it right, we give them candy. So a lot of it was making that pretty engaging, and I think I got like a lot of first years to come, which was pretty exciting. I think like half of the first years came to that event, and we made it fun. Some of them had the idea to get the bag of candy that we got from Costco and to go to the different floors and just hand them out and say, if you want more, come down to our like booth. And I think we got like, I want to say maybe like almost 100 people come to us throughout the day. So it was pretty successful and fun. So make it fun.
Yeah, what a innovative way to think and bring in more students. Was there anything that you would not do again or avoid in the future, and why?
This is kind of silly, but the chapter president and I made like this whiteboard, like this handmade poster that just says World Hearing Day. And the director of the program walked by and said, "Oh, that's a cute little board." And I felt proud of it. I thought it was great, but it does look a little juvenile. And she goes, "You know that we have resources on campus where you can make like a professional one, right?" So I guess use all the available resources that your school has to offer in terms of marketing so that you don't have to do a thing by hand.
Yeah, thank you. For both of you, what do you think are the top 2 to 3 things a chapter can do to be successful in their event planning and their fundraising?
I can go first this time. The first one would be asking members what they want. So at the beginning of the year, we made a Google form or like a Microsoft form and sent it out and asked students what they would like, where would they like to go, what kind of restaurants, what kind of ice cream place or whatever it may be, to plan events based on that. And then make flyers, blast the events, social media, email, group me, whatever you have, word of mouth, and then making it fun. Every event, make it fun so that they have a desire to want to go to the next one. Because if the first one's not so fun or there's not a huge turnout, they might be like, oh, well, I don't want to go to the next one because of the last one, and their perception might be a little bit skewed.
Yeah, like Carissa said, just make it fun, make it engaging, make it so that people want to go there. Like we're all adults, and I think most of us would rather be in bed during free time, but like make it engaging, make it so that people want to go to these events. Food is a big motivator.
Yes, I am finding that to be true as well. So we're gonna open up the floor. Does anyone have any questions for Carissa or Eric? If you do, just use the raise hand feature. We're also gonna drop a link that includes some fundraising examples in the chat. Oh, Chelsea.
Did you guys celebrate like well, I have the World Hearing Day. We also do in Mindeslo like Giving Day and I'm like blanking on the other ones. But what other like hearing and SLP holidays did you guys celebrate within your cohorts?
We were just the audiology chapter, so all we had was the World Hearing Day.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we had any other holidays that we did.
We had it like written out like by holidays, and then our social media, media and tech chair would make an Instagram post or something like that. And then this year, they're having their advocacy chair focus a little bit more on getting more of that information out and those holidays out.
Okay, thank you.
And we have time for one more question. So, Amanda.
I was gonna just bubble off what Chelsea said, just to share with her, but SLP wise for our local chapter, we do a Celebrate Autism event in the spring. And so we get that's like our biggest event that we do. And because we're in health sciences building, like you can actually also get PT and OT and other, careers and things like that involved too. And so that's a really, really good outreach if you're wanting to do kind of like a really big event. And we also have what we call it School Riverhawk Scholars. And we invite them to come down and participate in that and make posters and make sensory bins or bags and that kind of thing. So it also gets them involved as well.
That's really cool. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you, Eric and Carissa.
All right, now we're going to hear from our National NISLA VP for DAP, Colin Seston. He's going to highlight the easiest ways to get your chapter involved in advocacy and have it still be meaningful to your members.
Thanks, Kinsley. Hi, everyone. My name's Colin. I am, like Kinsley said, the National NISLA Vice President for Government Affairs and Public Policy. I'm a third-year AUD student at Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about advocacy and how National NISLA can help your chapters advance the CSD professions at the state and national levels. Now, advocacy is a chapter honors requirement, and that's for good reason. As future audiologists and SLPs, being an advocate for our clients is a big part of our day-to-day, but we also need to advocate for our profession. What happens on the federal and state level can have a big impact on how we work with clients, how we make money, and even how we navigate treatment plans. So that's why advocating for our interest is so important. So what does advocacy look like? Most people probably picture advocacy happening on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., walking into congressional offices and meeting with legislators. Well, this is one way to do advocacy. There are a lot of other ways we can have our voices heard. Feel free to drop in the chat, but can you name some ways that you can participate in advocacy? A few answers. So it looks like contacting local representatives, sending emails to elected officials, letter writing events, all great ideas. Someone mentioned about letter writing. So what we're going to talk about next is the take action letters on another slide. But first, I wanted to highlight some important dates. Over the past year, we have listened to our members through the member survey, and we've heard a desire for more advocacy. So last year, we added a second Student Advocacy Day. So go ahead and mark your calendars for October 23rd. This will be our Fall Advocacy Day. And then a spring date will be determined and sent out. These are two great opportunities for all national NISLA chapters to come together and make our voices heard on issues that matter to us. So earlier I mentioned the take action letters. So I wanted to show you what that looks like and how you can utilize this resource to plan an advocacy event for your chapter. It's really a great tool offered by ASHA that outlines different bills that apply to CSD professions and allows you to quickly send off personalized letters to federal legislators about those topics. They have suggested letters pre-populated in the fields that you can modify however you'd like. It's really cool and very easy to use. I have a QR code and a URL to the website in the chat, so feel free to save this link. And lastly, a lot of people have some misconceptions about advocacy. And to wrap up the advocacy section of this Chapter Leadership Summit, I wanted to go through the top 3 with you. The third myth, organizing an advocacy event is complicated. False. We have so many tools and opportunities for your chapter to participate in advocacy events, either on our student advocacy days or other times throughout the year. It can be as simple as getting your members together over for pizza, pulling out your laptops, and filling in some info on the Take Action site. Or, of course, if you want to, you can do something in person at your state capitol. What's important to remember is that it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be very simple. The second myth, advocacy yields fast results. Unfortunately, this is not true. Advocacy is a process. Although we all love the instant gratification of seeing fast change, the reality is that the legislative process takes time. It's important to make our voices heard at all stages of the process in order to be effective. Changing law is a slow roll, so we have to be okay with small victories, knowing that together they lead to big change. And finally, the number one myth, only certain people have the skills needed to do federal advocacy. Completely false. Advocacy is for everyone, and with the tools and methods we have available, it is something that every member of your chapter can participate in. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me at gap@nisla.org if you have any questions about advocacy. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Colin. Does anyone in the room have any experience going to a state Hill Day or another type of advocacy event outside of the Take Action letters and Student Advocacy Day? If you do, feel free to use the raise your hand feature. Okay, well, if it is something that you are interested in, we really encourage you to reach out to your state associations, as they often have professionals who focus on advocacy and can offer support for a Hill Day. Does anyone have any questions related to advocacy for Colin?
Just while people maybe get together, take a quick second to think if they have any questions or look at the Take Action website. Many states have legislative advocacy committees in your state association. They can earn grants for working with students around advocacy from ASHA, and they the fall is the time they apply for those grants. So if you are in touch with your state association, or you know your state association has a student rep and you'd like to consider a Hill Day or something like that, encourage them to apply for those grants because it helps defray a lot of the cost for students. We've had them, include grants where they give students gas money reimbursements, where they give students, obviously food, they pay, house them, feed them if it's an overnight type of thing. So definitely partner with those state associations. They can help you.
All right, well, we're about to drop a link in the chat to some of the different chapter advocacy success stories. So please take some time to go look at those and see what they're doing in the advocacy front to see what's successful for them. And thank you so much to Colin for being here today and sharing a little bit about advocacy to the rest of us.
Yes, thank you, Colin. We'd like to welcome Emma Hall, the incoming president from our current chapter of the year, Purdue University. Emma, we enjoyed Zoe's video earlier. Do you have any advice for chapters when it comes to setting their year up for success?
Hold on.
Oh.
Emma's not in here yet. Sorry. I'm making sure she's not in the middle of talking to the other room. I'm about to move her over. Abigail, can you tell us a little bit more? I just see the thing in the chat. I'm just gonna ask, I'm gonna pull Emma from the other room. Do you want to tell a little bit how you set that up, this advocacy and AAC event? Okay, maybe not. That's okay, it's in the chat. So looks like you can reach out to people like representatives from this company in this case. Okay, we have Emma. I'm sorry, Aaliyah. Take two.
Hi, Emma. Thank you for joining us. We'd like to welcome Emma Hall. She is the incoming president from our current chapter of the year, Purdue University. Emma, I just mentioned that we seen Zoe's video earlier, and we wanted to know if you had any advice for chapters when it came to setting their year up for success.
Hi, it's nice to see you. So, from my experience, I think that just being organized from the start is so, so important. I know that Zoe said that, but on her exec team, it was important to me too. And I just recommend creating a clear plan for the semester or the entire year and sharing it with your executive team for feedback so everyone can talk about it. I think that that's what really surprised at least both me and Zoe was that oh, you think that you have a great idea, but then maybe someone else is like, oh, well, you should do this. Or it's just really helpful to work as a group. Open communication is just so important in making sure that everyone is on the same page and just feels comfortable reaching out or just and that just makes everything run smoother. At the same time, I think that staying flexible has been really important for us in our chapter, just because a lot of things can change throughout the year. A guest speaker might not be able to come, or maybe even like we had a lot of bad weather last year, so we had to move things online. But just making sure that you set measurable goals for your chapter and then just regularly checking in on your members as well as your exec team and just the progress from the previous plan that you've set in place. And just don't forget to keep your members engaged and excited about what's coming next in the future.
Thank you, Emma. You just mentioned about being flexible, and I know that that is super important. So can you discuss a little bit more about that? Dive a little bit deeper into what it even means to be flexible.
Um, for me, I think that being flexible is just I mean, most of us know what being flexible means, but just open to change. I know that personally, I'm really I plan things a lot. I'll write things down, and sometimes it can scare me when things don't go to plan. But just, I think also being flexible is important with not being afraid to reach out for help. So if you need help, just contacting your exec team, maybe your advisors for your university. If you don't know what to do, we're all doing this together. It's some people's first times. It could just be you just don't know what's going on. So I think just reaching out for help is important, and just being open to any change that might come, and knowing that other people's ideas could improve your organization as well.
Yeah. NISLA has community board posts, and can you share how you use the community board posts and what else worked best for your chapter for a success?
Yes, I actually last year I was the one who was in charge of our community board posts. I think for me, I think that making a detailed plan for each semester just worked really well. And something that I also did is I took a lot of pictures at our events, and I think that that just helped add to our posts. But what I tried to do was mapping out what we needed, mapping out our advocacy, and just writing down important dates and any upcoming events that we wanted to highlight and share. And then having that plan just really helped me stay consistent and then keep the community board just or not activated, just keeping it updated for everyone to see, but just sharing in detail what we're doing, who we're impacting, and then I like to add what we were doing next. So I would always mention, oh, come back and see our next month's update for our this guest speaker or this exciting event that we have planned.
Yeah, so it sounds like staying organized was super important for you and your chapter. Does anyone have any questions for Emma? Allison.
What do you think set Purdue's application apart when you applied for Chapter of the Year? In case anyone in here is new to Chapter Honors or has never gone for Chapter of the Year before, kind of how did you guys try to set yourself apart more than just filling out the basics?
I think that as a chapter, I our president Zoe was the one who filled out this application, so I was just on her exec team. But I think that we really tried to focus on advocacy. Purdue itself focuses a lot on our legislative day here in Indiana and the advocacy day that I think it's either ASHA or NISLA does throughout the year. But I think that we just really tried to prioritize our community involvement. We had several guest speakers come and share their experiences, and it really did impact our members. Another thing that we do is we have a lot of panels for our undergrad students. So we have a graduate school panel where a lot of professors interact with students. And then for our freshman and sophomore panel, it's just introducing them to the college, sharing our experiences. And I think that that also really stuck out. But we also, to help with our membership, we created an award for people to compete at. It was our Outstanding NISLA Member Award. So it was each semester someone could earn it just based off of points and participation. And that was really fun to see people interacting and trying to see who would win. I think that that really helped. But I think just having a really close knit group really helped us stood out. And Zoe did such an amazing job leading everything. And we also focused a lot with different organizations within our department. So we did a lot with our advocacy council and a lot with our DEI organization within our SLHS department here at Purdue University. So I think just connecting with others and then a lot of community involvement did help us.
Yeah, thank you, Emma. Um, before we break our rooms closed, does anyone else have any other questions? Emma,
I
go
was
ahead.
wondering what your most proud event was. Like, what did you think was the most successful?
That is a very good question. I'm gonna have to think about that. I think that our most successful event is we had a speaker come share her experience. Her son was deaf, and she advocated for him in court. Like she just did so much advocacy, and I think people were even crying at our event. She really was a very good speaker, and I think that for all of us, that really stuck out and shared how our impact as future SLPs or audiologists. At least for me, I think that was my most favorite event. And then also, um, we we did an event with Parkinson's Voice Project, and then we later on donated. We did made a donation for them, and I think that our members were really just so happy that they could help people.
Anyone else have any questions? We have time for one more. Okay. Emma, is there any last piece of advice that you would like to add to the students in the room?
Um, One last thing that I think is really important for everyone is I know I already said it, but just don't be afraid to reach out to help. Reach out for help if you need it. You are not on your own to do everything all by yourself. It's really important to not take on all the responsibilities on your own. Just you all are doing amazing, and I hope that you have a great start to your year.
Thank you, Emma. Okay, don't forget that you guys can add questions to our running Padlet at any time. The link is in the chat. And also when we get back, there will be a Kahoot with prizes for the top 3 winners. And we will see you back at the top of the hour.
All right, well, welcome back, everyone. So now we are going to play our Kahoot game, and the top 3 winners will earn $50 gift cards provided by AMN Healthcare. So go ahead and sign up. The game pen is there. All right, well, that looks like most of us, so we can get started. Our first question is, why is advocacy important? And you can pick multiple answers for this one. All right, so for this one, it is our clients depend on us to advocate for them in their care. CSD professionals are impacted by decisions at the state and federal levels, and your voice impacts the future of CSD. And here's our leaderboard. The next one is true or false. The easiest way for students to advocate is to submit take action letters. True. Looks like most people got that. It's very easy. It's a minute or less to fill out a take action letter. How many take action letters did NISLA chapter send this year? $8,351. It's quite a lot. So select all possible examples of advocacy done by chapters. So these ones are all correct. State Hill Day, bringing in CSD professionals for an advocacy panel, signature gathering for statewide initiatives for autism services, and hosting a chapter event around Fowler Spring Student Advocacy Day. So local chapter members automatically get National NISLA membership, true or false? That one is false. They are separate. Which of the following are National NISLA member benefits? All right, and this one was everything except for a welcome call from the National NISLA president. I know Allison would love to call everyone individually. I'm sure she would if she had the time. But you do get perfect. And here's our scoreboard, changing up a little bit. How much does the conversion discount save on ASHA certification and membership fees? That one was cool. Never seen a question like that. So $250. It's a really good deal. Our next question, one needs national membership for the last 2 years of master's or doctoral programs, including grad year, for the discount. Is that true or false? That one is true. So the last 2 years. Which is the last day to purchase 2025 National NISLA membership? And for this one, you type your answer. All right, and that is August 31st, 2025. Chapters should re-affiliate when their new officers take office. True or false? That one is true. Couple more questions. Which of the following are components of chapter honors? And it's all of them. How many regions does National NISLA support? Four. Perfect. So that's all of our questions. Tiff, third place. Millie, second place. And first place, Katie. All right, well, congratulations, you guys. Thank you so much for playing and for your attention to our presentations today. So thank you for playing the Kahoot game. I'll pass it off to Ashley now.
Thank you so much, Lucy. We're now going to have a leadership impact in your career panel with 3 presenters. I'm going to introduce Kristen Bruce, a CCSLP, is a Senior Director of Teletherapy at AMN Healthcare. She is joined by Dr. Denise Cordona, an ASHA certified audiologist and Senior Clinical Program Manager with Special Olympics International. We are also joined by Gerald Jackson, MA CCSLP, the Director of Health Professions and Specialized Supports at Roundtree Group. He was a 2024 ASHA Convention co-chair and is now an NBASLH board member. Thank you so much for being here today. All right. Can each of you guys give us an overview of your career path to date? And then if you could, how did student leadership positions help you in your career? Kristen, why don't you start?
Okay, thanks, Ashley. Hello again, everyone. So like I mentioned before, this is my 25th year as an SLP, and I graduated from CU Boulder. I did part of my graduate work at Purdue and then finished up back in Colorado. So it seems like a long time ago and also like yesterday. So it's incredible how fast it goes. But during grad school, I initially went in thinking that I was going to focus on medical settings, working with adults, outpatient. And then somewhere during the course of my coursework and externship experiences, I shifted into wanting to work more with children and specifically in school and home settings. So coming out of grad school, I did work in the schools and in doing some a lot of Head Start work. So working with parents, early intervention, mostly elementary through middle school, for about 13 years, in addition to running a small private practice during some of that time. So I really loved that work. I realized, and looking over the course of my career, that your first question was about advocacy. To me, that is the most important part of my work, and I think probably for all of us as clinicians in one aspect or another, is as advocates for our patients, for our students, for our field. So I really felt that and had the opportunity to advocate for, I think especially working with a lot of the early intervention, early childhood families, with parents who often struggle to feel very empowered to help their own children. And so I really loved the opportunity to work that whole family aspect when I was working with those kiddos. I did then, very unexpectedly, considering that this was not even in existence when I was in your spot in graduate school, I became a teletherapist in 2012. And so very early days of teletherapy as far as school-based services here in this country. And it was, related to some different circumstances when I needed to take some time away. I needed more flexibility at the time, but actually I loved it almost immediately and learned so much. And that turned into the opportunity to become a clinical manager in a company that was one of the earlier companies doing teletherapy. I suddenly, not feeling like a tech person, became someone who was working with the people who are tech people, but to develop clinical platforms and be, a bit at the cutting edge of the field of teletherapy. So since that time, I have been clinical manager, then I was clinical director before coming over to AMN 2 years ago. And now I head up the teletherapy schools program for AMN Healthcare. So it's been a very interesting career path, but I feel nowhere close to done. There's still a lot of advocating left to be done. So that's where I am. And then as far as student leadership positions, I didn't have any formal student leadership positions when I was in graduate school, but I did have the opportunity to really kind of develop a program when I was at CU Boulder, specifically supporting adults who stutter, creating a weekly get together and therapy program. And then some of my colleagues, other students with me, helped to build that. So that was really exciting. It was a little intimidating and scary at the time, but it really did push me out of my comfort zone a bit and set me up to move into other leadership positions once I did graduate and move forward in my career. So I am grateful for that opportunity and have had, I think it's manifested in many ways for me in my career. So thank you. I'm going to go ahead and I will turn it over to Denise.
Thank you, Kristen. Happy to jump in. So my career started with several years in clinical practice at the Las Vegas VA, about 7 years. And along the way, I got involved with leading some community outreach programs and teaming up with folks in public health, schools, and organizations that supported people with intellectual disabilities. All those experiences eventually led me to Special Olympics, where I've been the Healthy Hearing Program Manager for the past 2.5 years. And in this job, I get to work on everything from developing programs to working with clinicians and building partnerships to make sure our athletes are getting top-notch hearing care. And honestly, being a student leader really set the stage for all of this. Things like being on student council, serving as class rep, organizing school events, and mentoring peers taught me a ton. I learned how to communicate well, show empathy, and bring people together, which are all skills I use every day now in my job. Plus, leading student groups meant working with all kinds of personalities and finding ways to keep everyone moving towards shared goals, which is super useful in my current role. Obviously, this path is very different than what most audiologists have, which is either, private practice or ENT or in a school. So I was very fortunate to be able to stumble upon Special Olympics. I didn't think a role like this for an audiologist could exist, but I love my job. It's definitely a unicorn job, and um, our main focus every day is truly advocating for those with intellectual disabilities. So I will pass it on to Gerald.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to be here. My name is Gerald Jackson. I am really excited to see. I see some of my students here that I'm teaching this semester, so it's really nice to see you. I do adjunct teaching at Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, HBCU, that I actually got my undergraduate degree from. So nice to see some of my students here. But just to share a little bit of my background, I am now been practicing for 21 years. And I think I heard Kristen say that you don't realize how time passes and how quickly it does, because I realized that it was 21 years ago that I finished my master's degree, but I promise you I can still remember very vividly what that graduate school experience was like. So since finishing graduate school, I started my career in the public schools, which has always been a place that continues to live in my heart. Public schools, carving a niche in assistive technology and language and literacy over my career, and then having the opportunity to move into full-time roles in the academic world where I served as a graduate program coordinator, clinical educator, sometimes a clinical director, and then moving back into schools where I had the opportunity to continue my work as a school-based SLP, assistive technologist, becoming a lead SLP in the school district, then becoming a special education director. After doing those roles, I decided to take some time to figure out what it was that I really wanted to do for me. And the idea came about going into private practice and developing what that might look like for me and what I would like to do about that. So I started the Roundtree Group. We're now 7 years old. We still focus on school-based practices mainly, and particularly looking to work with schools that have been in marginalized communities that have not had consistent service and support. So our goal is to partner with those districts, show them all the depth and breadth of SLPs in the schools and how we collaborate, how we build community, but also making sure that we can demonstrate what consistent service provision can look like and how we can integrate ourselves into those communities. So really excited to do that. I also participate a lot in professional volunteerism activities. So as you heard, I was the 2024 SLP convention co-chair. That was in Seattle, which was a great experience. Outside of that, I've also worked on our Council for Clinical Certification. I do accreditation site visits, and I am a board member for the National Black Association for Speech Language Hearing, or NBASLH. And I would say that leadership started for me maybe way back in my high school, elementary school years. And you don't really think about what leadership means in the sense of not always having to hold a position, but like leading alongside your peers, or sometimes being an advocate, asking a question that has people paying attention in times and spaces when you don't think you want the spotlight to be shining on you. And I've never been that person to say like, oh, hey, look at me, I want to be in charge. It's been more about moving into action, having my actions speak, asking questions, really wanting to get answers or just to do some things. And I think sometimes you have to step back and look and see that that's how leadership can develop, and that those leadership skills don't develop overnight. So you look at your experiences over time as a student now, as an emerging professional, and just think about you being in this growth phase, that your foundation is being cemented, and that it's a time that you're building the skills that are going to continue to blossom over your career. So continue to learn, continue to make those mistakes, figure out what works for you, what doesn't, what you like, what you don't. And I think you'll see yourself finding the leader in you that you really want to be. So it's nice to be here.
Thank you all so much. What amazing careers you all have had. Now, for the panel as a whole, what skills have you seen translate best from leadership to the workplace. And Kristen, do you want to start us off again?
Sure. There's a long list of skills. I think that, again, people go into leadership positions through different avenues. I think as Daryl was just speaking to, lots of different motivations, opportunities, and there's so many skills that can be built. But I think that when I have the opportunity to interview for positions, have people interview with me if I'm hiring, people who have sought out those student leadership positions, I really think that they build a broader perspective and understand the importance of that big picture perspective and how many individuals, groups, teams are impacted by every decision we make in our related workplaces. And it's easy, I think, sometimes to become siloed, either in our profession as SLPs, and sometimes maybe we're not considering our related service providers, our audiologists, our OTs, our PTs, and how decisions we make also impact them as we share students, as we share clients and patients. So I really think that those leadership opportunities that you all are taking on as students, you really learn how to listen. You learn how to consider perspectives other than your own. And not that considering your own perspective is by necessarily a selfish thing. It is, we are all very busy. You guys are in grad school, you're working hard, you're focused on your degrees and getting graduated, and it's a lot of work. And I understand that. And I think sometimes it is easy for us to get a little heads down. And so I do believe that being a leader means, by the nature of it, that if you're going to be a strong leader, an effective leader, you do need to look up and consider the other people and groups who are going to be affected by your leadership and by decisions that you make. So I think that it's a real strength as people come into various, work and future positions.
Thank you so much.
Pass on to Denise. Yeah.
Yep.
For me, I'd say that there's 4 skills that stand out. First is project management. So planning school events and projects taught me how to juggle lots of moving parts, which are super useful for me now when I'm organizing screenings or trainings. Second, I would say is communication. So figuring out how to get my ideas across and speak up for what's needed, whether I'm talking to my boss or a coworker or different teams that I'm working with. Third, I would say is adaptability. So at the time, balancing classes with leadership stuff helped me be successful at switching gears and handling whatever came my way, which is a big part of managing programs now. And lastly, I'd say empathy and inclusion, making everyone feel welcomed back in school, totally shaped how I work with athletes from all different backgrounds now in Special Olympics.
I'd like to add that I think from a standpoint of not just leadership, but just thinking about who you are as an individual and how you are authentically representing yourself, staying consistent with that and trusting yourself is something that is something you're going to learn over time and continue to build that skill of believing in yourself, but being authentic. It's going to shine through in everything you do. I also would say consistency, showing up, doing the things that matter, doing the things that are important, practicing, learning those skills, honing those skills will be important. Flexibility, that's kind of going along with what Denise said about being adaptable. So just being flexible, learning, being willing to learn, being willing to grow and try things that are outside of your comfort zone. I'd also add in there connections or networking, having connections with people, from places that you would not even expect. So when you all are doing the things that you're doing now as a part of National NISLA, as part of your local chapters or just in your cohorts, making connections with people that can last lifetimes, people that you can call on and have those relationships with is really, really important. And I think the other thing is respect, kind of leading into cultural humility, respecting others, respecting their ideas, where they come from, their backgrounds. I think all of those things combined can set you on a path to the success that you want to see.
Thank you all so much. That was really great advice. How should a student position their leadership on their resume and in interviews? And then Denise, would you like to start this time?
Sure. So I would say try to be clear about what you actually did. So throw in some numbers if you can, talk about working with other people and mention any tough spots that you got through. When you're in interviews, tell real stories about times where you showed initiative or learned something new. That's what I love to hear when I'm interviewing individuals on my team. Also, connecting what you did as a leader to the skills that the grad program or the job wants. It'll definitely help you stand out and make your experiences really land.
I guess I'll jump in. From a standpoint of your resume, think about constructing it in a variety of ways. It's not just about listing positions, but also describing the skill sets that go along with what you've learned, what you've obtained from those roles that you've had. Don't be afraid to put your leadership roles there and talk about how those skills are transferable, because I think sometimes we don't think about the transferability of our skills as future communication sciences or speech language and hearing scientists. We tend to think like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be that SLP. I'm going to be that audiologist. So this is what I'm training for. But there are a lot of things that we learn from a communication aspect that can be skills that you can talk about, that your leadership can help guide you on that. And then also think about what takes up real estate on that resume. A lot of places are still looking for those short 1 to 2 pagers when we know that there are a lot of things that we can list. So what are the most important skills that are going to be listed there, the positions that are going to directly tie into what you're doing, and that when you get to the interview, you can explain all of the other things that you've experienced and how you've been able to tie that into what you're looking for in your next step in your career.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with both what Denise and Gerald said. The resume is different than the interview. The resume, like Gerald said, sometimes it's being looked at very quickly. So you definitely want to be cognizant of that it may take, somebody in HR might be doing a very quick glance, possibly somebody who doesn't have clinical background might be doing that initial screening. And so it is important to highlight, obviously, the skills, the requirements for whatever specific position you're applying for, or whether it's, a grad program, what are they looking for? Make sure that you are highlighting, bulleting the specific skills and experience you have that do tie directly to what is being looked for, what they say the requirements are. Unfortunately, as much as we would love for all of our resumes to be deeply and thoroughly considered when we submit them, that's just not always the case. So we do need to be aware of that. And then the interview, when you have that opportunity, that's your time to give context to what is on your resume. Highlight not only, they can see your degree, they know, those kind of facts, but they want to, I want to know about the person, some more of those soft skills. Of course, the specific requirements for the job, but I'm also looking for adaptability, initiative taking, that ability to be independent and yet work as part of a team. So it can be, a fine line between sometimes really highlighting. You obviously want to put your best foot forward and don't be shy about letting that person know exactly what your experience is, what that means, what that could mean for them if they hire you, if they bring you into that graduate program, but also having, awareness of, talk about leaders that you've had, like what have you admired about, from maybe professors or former managers you've had. What was it that helped you grow, and how has that shaped you and helped, what are you going to bring out of that into a new position or into that grad program?
Thank you so much, you guys. That was super helpful. Great tips and advice. Okay, so student leadership really gives students a strong set of experiences to draw on. How can a student stand out when applying for grad school or a job? Is there anything you see student leaders forget to bring up? Gerald, can you start us off, please?
Sure. Thanks, Ashley. I think it kind of goes back to what I mentioned before when we were talking about the leadership positions and what does it take for you to think about what translates to your career. I think the authenticity piece, again, stating who you are, what you believe, what you've experienced, and just being consistent about that. I have spent a good bit of my career reviewing graduate school applications and looking through the admissions process. And sometimes we get reflections from students that talk about all the things that they've done, but they've not given us that true piece of who they are in their personal statements or in an interview. And I think that when you tell your story, remind people of your why, remind people of what it is that has gotten you to the point to where you are and how you see your future is more compelling than just telling someone you have a passion for what we all think that we have a passion for, right? So I think being authentic, telling your story, reminding yourself and others of why you want to do this, what's next for you, how do you see yourself continually evolving over the points of your career, and whether that's you're a student, a graduate student, where you're moving into the first part of your career as a clinical fellow. Always be true to who you are and why you want to do what you want to do, and don't be afraid to share those stories with those who are helping to make decisions about what's going to be next for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think that I want to know the motivation. What is it that excites you about what you're doing? There are, we all come from these different experiences and backgrounds, and I personally love hearing those stories from my colleagues and my teammates about what brought them to where we are. There are a lot of challenges in our respective fields, and we need to have that motivation. We need to know, as Gerald said, the why, and that does make you stand out. That's how you differentiate, is being able to answer those questions and speak to, of course, your experience and maybe why you sought out those specific opportunities over others. I think that can be very meaningful in, decisions you make. Why did you choose a certain graduate path? Why did you choose certain externships, internships, and tying that back to what you're excited about in that position? Because those are in the end, it is we want people who want to be there, whether it's in their job, in their graduate school, and are excited about being part of a new team, whether it be in school or in work. So yes, I agree with Gerald. That's great advice.
I would say to really stand out, show that you've got vision and can make things happen. That's what I personally love to see. Schools and employers and myself love seeing folks who don't just join in, but that they can actually bring new ideas to the table or help improve what's already there. And like I said earlier, don't be afraid to talk about the times where things didn't go as planned. Bouncing back is a big deal in healthcare and other areas. If you've worked across different clubs, gotten involved in advocacy, or done stuff in your community, mention that because it does matter. And one thing a lot of student leaders forget, I think, is to explain why what they did actually mattered. Like Kristen and Gerald mentioned, why is that important to you? What makes you authentic? So try to spell out the bigger picture. Whether it's, did you help reach more people? Did you make things more accessible? Did you help shape any policies? For me, that's the kind of stuff that really catches attention.
We really appreciate all the insight as we work to design programs to support students in different phases of their CSD journeys. Are there any closing thoughts or insights that you have for our current NISLA chapter leaders?
Well, I'll jump in. I would just say continue to bring your leadership and your passion and your new ideas to our profession. We are facing a lot of challenges. Some that have existed since I graduated, some that are new because of all kinds of changes, whether it be in technology or politics or budgets and funding. There are always going to be challenges, and we really need your ideas, we need your excitement, and we need you in our profession. So just keep joining, keep taking those opportunities to lead, and to share what you have individually to to bring that advocacy to children, to our patients, to our field, because it's very much needed.
I'd say remain curious, compassionate, and bold. Your leadership now is truly laying the groundwork for future advocacy, innovation, service, what have you. I would say definitely seek mentorship. That's what got me through, undergrad, grad school, even in my job now. Stretch beyond your comfort zone, be flexible, be adaptable, and always center the needs of those you serve, your patients, whether it's an SLP or audiology. You truly never know where your journey will lead, but a commitment to meaningful leadership will serve you at every turn. And that's truly what helped me make that transition from being at the Las Vegas VA to now being at Special Olympics.
Love that. Those are all great pieces. I'd also add to that, um, realizing that sometimes things are hard, things will continue to be hard. So find that spot in you that's ready to dig in and fight for what you believe in, stay true to yourself. Again, remembering your why, because when things get difficult, it's easy to want to walk away. But when you remember the reason why you decided to do a certain thing, why you chose this career, why you chose to advocate in that particular way, stay rooted and stay grounded in that, because your foundation is going to be solid to stay strong in what that is. And over my career, I've started to think about, how, because I get questions sometimes like, how did you determine what you're going to do? How are you going to, how did you decide that this is going to be next? And sometimes I don't have all the answers as to how it's all connected, but I did come up with this idea of how I was able to trace my path, and trace standing for trusting yourself, for reflecting on situations, for having agency, which means recognizing your own personal voice and your power, building community, and staying in that community, engaging in ways to grow your community, and then expression, which is really, again, saying what needs to be said, saying how it needs to be said, and maybe even in speaking on behalf of others. So just think about how you might want to trace your path to whatever your definition of success would be.
Thank you guys so much. I want to open the floor to any of our audience members who may have a question for one of our panelists. We would appreciate it if you guys would use the hand raise feature in Zoom. Bianca, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, and I would like to ask my question specifically to Gerald, as you were speaking a bit earlier about staying consistent with yourself and to truly be authentic. That really resonated with me, and I would love it if you would speak a little bit more about that as to how we can bring that with us in our leadership positions as a part of our NISLA chapters, and as well as we continue on to grad school and eventually into the workforce.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Bianca, for that question. Um, Sometimes it takes us a bit of time to figure out who we are and what we believe in, and how to stay true to that. And once you do, then it's a matter of sticking to those beliefs. And then sometimes again leaning into your network and your community to help to solidify you, and in some instances maybe even reel you back into who you are, because sometimes situations can lead us to think like, oh, I did I do that correctly? Am I in the right space? And coming back to your community can really help you to remember who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. So don't feel that your journey always has to be this independent kind of situation where you're the only one that can do what you need to do. There are people around you who you can build community with that will support you. So if you're thinking about it from a NISLA chapter place, if you all have an advocacy event or community event you want to do and it's feeling really strong, stay true to what your chapter wants to do and figure out ways to do it and come together with those ideas. Being willing to share your ideas, being willing to motivate others, and then bring some other people along who may have kind of wanted to do it, but then are not sure, but you see something in them that maybe they don't see in themselves. So that's that community piece. So I think that believing in what you want, being okay sharing that with other people, remembering again that why, and bringing other people along with the journey.
Thank you.
Sure.
What a great question. If we don't have any more questions, I want to thank you all so much for participating in our panel today. We appreciate the chance to hear critical career information. Again, thank you guys so much for your time and advice.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here.
Thank you.
This has been great. Love to connect with you all. So feel free to reach out to us.
All right, thank you guys again for coming and sharing a little bit with us. Now we are going to talk about some of our fall events, but remember that you can always reach us by email at nisla@asha.org if you have any more questions or engage with us on the NISLA member community. We want to give you a few more resources for this fall, and we will make sure that your SSOs include these in follow-up emails. Be sure to register for all of our incredible fall events. Our next event is aimed at undergrads looking to apply for grad school. We'd love to invite you to create for National NISLA. We have lots of different opportunities to get yourself or your chapter featured, everything from relatively light lifts to like our new microblogging efforts to creating video content to help your fellow CSD students understand how your chapter runs. Scan the QR code and fill out the form, and we will reach out to you with the details about how to get involved. The link is also in the chat for those of you that may need it. Don't forget that Fall Student Advocacy Day is coming on October 23rd. National NISLA partners with ASHA to encourage students, NISLA members, and chapters to submit Take Action letters to their members of Congress through ASHA's Take Action website. In November, join us at the 2025 ASHA Convention in Washington, D.C. Our planned events can be seen on this slide, and we are excited to host these student-driven events. Our Executive Council has a few sessions that are in support of National NISLA. Please add them to your convention schedule if you are attending. Also, this fall, the National NISLA Undergraduate Scholarship application will open September 1st, and we'd love for you to share this with your chapter members about our undergraduate scholarship. It's open to National NISLA members who are undergraduate sophomores or juniors. We have more information about the scholarship on the NISLA website, so please encourage all undergraduate students to apply. We'd like to once again thank our sponsor, AMN Healthcare, for their participation in this event. We are so grateful for your attendance. Here's the contact information for our key speakers today. This event has been recorded and will be shared on our YouTube channel. Please complete the event survey that's linked in the chat so that we can continue to improve our programming. Thank you so much for coming and have a wonderful rest of your day.